Hello, Shadow Era community, and welcome back again to State of the Era, the podcast presented by the A1 Alliance with the best Shadow Era discussion around. This is the amazingly sexy voice of Ninja Ducky that you're hearing. This is a really great episode we're getting ready for you guys here. We have an incredibly special guest with us this week, and I'm really excited about it. We're going to be talking about Shadow Era's past, present, and future, where the game's been, where we're at now, and where we think it might end up or where we'd like it to be. Should be pretty fun. Coming here with us today, we've got iClips.
Hello, guys.
We've got Otto.
This is Sparta!
And our very special guest this week is creator of Shadow Era, Kyle Poole.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
So, Kyle, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself. We usually have all of our guests say how long they've been playing Shadow Era, where you're from, and what is your favorite deck of all time?
I have been playing Shadow Era for a long time now.
Pretty much a veteran at this point, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yeah, it's been a long time creating it. I think it was been in development for about a year before the first beta. Actually, I have a long background in mobile game development, but I always really wanted to make a TCG. I've been a collector of Magic, not really a player, but a collector of Magic for a long time. So I really wanted to, create a trading card game with focus on collector things, like really great artwork. You can really see that in Shadow Era.
Yeah, definitely. That was actually one of the things that initially attracted me to Shadow Era because I'm a longtime TCG player myself, and the visual presentation of games, digital TCGs, is always terrible. And then I saw Shadow Era and I was like, oh my god, this one's for real.
Yeah, same here. And also the fact that it's really easy to play. I only played a few games at the start, and then I already got the hang of the game, and then I just stuck with it.
Kyle, do you have a favorite deck of all time?
I do. I like to play Zaladar. You might recognize Zaladar all over the new Shadow Era products. I do like to play Zaladar rolling pin deck, the biggest deck. It's a lot of fun to play.
I remember that deck. That's definitely the most interesting Shadow Era deck I've ever come across.
I've actually seen you play the rolling pin already at one time.
Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's always fun.
Yeah, you always can expect something else, I guess.
And you can probably always expect your opponent to go, what the heck?
Sometimes I get scared and just quit.
So Kyle, what was it like getting Shadow Era off the ground?
Getting it off the ground? Well, it was pretty popular since the first public beta. I did a bunch of interviews with some iPhone news sites. So right from the start, people could see the quality of the game and sign up for the beta on the web. So the news passed pretty quickly. At that time, there was no real trading card games out for iPhone. And the web offerings as well were pretty limited. So people really liked to play Shadow Era on the web because it was very quick to play, very straightforward, easy to understand. So it was really not a problem to attract people to the game. And I mean, once we launched on iPhone, we hit our 2 million user mark fairly early on. So I've been really happy with that success.
And right now, in the current version, are we with the biggest audience right now, or was there a bigger audience at some point?
Oh yeah,
or is the game always growing?
It's always growing. Obviously, when it first launches on iPhone, there's like a big, huge surge. So the rate of growth is probably not as much now because most people already know about the game. Most people are already playing the game. But as far as active users are concerned, we're always growing. And now we're picking up new players from the physical version as well. They get the redemption code, so they're encouraged to try out the digital game. So that's also working pretty good.
Yeah, I really thought that was a good business move to add crystals in the booster packs.
Yeah, I did too. Was that like a big thing at Origins that people were talking about? Did people who were exposed to the physical game get really interested in the digital game as well?
We talked to a lot of people who it was about 50-50 if they heard of Shadow Era or not before. We did a lot of demos of the game, and they were able to understand the physical version very quickly. And a lot of people, wanted to check out the game online first. I remember there was this one girl who came to me the next day and said she played the game that night, and then she was, naming off all these cards and combinations, and she like literally in one day knew the game better than I did.
How does that make you feel when you come across fans like that?
It's a little bit scary because, to be honest, in my mind everything is so jumbled between versions. Like I didn't have a real chance to actually play the game in so long. I've just been developing. So even the latest 1.5, I seriously don't remember all the new abilities and changes and stuff.
So, obviously, Shadow Era's come a really long way since the very early days. What do you guys think so far would you call like the most important step that Shadow Era's taken?
Right? It's definitely been the balancing and completing the first set, but most importantly, the balancing. Obviously, you guys know we spent a long, long time on balancing the first set. Now we are actively tracking the stats. In the latest version, 1.5, I think there's been almost 1.5 million games played, something like that. And we track the stats for who's using what heroes and their win percentage, and it's really, really close. There's no clear winner of which hero is better. I mean, it goes from pretty much 45% to 55%. It's just that tight range. So the game is extremely balanced now, and we're really proud of that.
I'm actually curious. Do you have these numbers with you right now?
Yeah, I'm curious too.
We have
Because
the numbers, of course, but
I would really like to know which hero has the highest win rate right now.
everyone would like to know that, and everyone would play that hero. And
Right, fair enough.
a lot of the point is, a lot of it comes down to skill. The cards are balanced themselves, so now it's really about skill. And we saw that in the recent World Championship. It was pretty close games. There was a lot of variety of heroes, I think, and it was really fun to watch.
I get why you don't want to tell us which hero has the highest win percentage. How would you feel about telling us which hero has the lowest win percentage?
It's the same idea. People would avoid that hero because they think that it's bad and it has less chance of winning. But that's also not the case. It might be a hero that's unpopular because of artwork or gameplay style or something like that. But if a real player knows how to play that class, they can always do well. And same thing occurs with the first turn advantage. We also track those stats. And players that know how to play going second, they can win the same percentage, almost 50%. It's just, whether you're prepared for that situation and you can play according to whether you go first or second.
I also think that going from 30 to 40 cars that had a big impact on going first or second, because with the 30 cars you always had you could almost always have the perfect hand when going first, and then it was really a big advantage to go first. But now it's not that big anymore.
Yeah, we saw that the main game strategy evolved from rush tactics, which was very popular at the previous versions, to control tactics, which means that most players don't count on winning too fast because they just happen to play first. And all of them just count on just winning, despite the fact that they may start second.
Also, I'm torn between whether I think the biggest step was the 30 to 40 card change or the creation of the PFG, which allowed the game to become extremely balanced before it was released. Those two things stand out in my mind. One of the things I found that I really like about Shadow Era, though, is sort of epitomized by the change from 30 to 40 cards, because that was really, really player-driven. The game started out with a 30-card minimum, and then eventually a lot of the people who were just really, really into the game and active in the community all just sort of converted to only playing with 40 cards, and they were like, this is better, and we like this better, and we should just do this. And eventually, Kyle just kind of picked up on that and was like, okay, we'll just change it to 40 cards because that's what everyone wants to be playing, which I thought was really cool.
We really listen to the community on their feedback. It's really important for us to understand what the players are doing and what they want.
Do you get most of that feedback through the design team, or how do you get most of your feedback? Or do you do research for yourself, or how does it work?
The PFG has been really, really good for early feedback for new cards. In terms of general features, what people want, we rely on the forums a lot. Open questions. Hey, what do you want to see? What features you want? Stuff like that.
So you guys totally do read the feedback forum over on the Shadow Era forums?
Yep.
So if you're posting over there on the feedback forums at shadowera.com, your voice is being heard. You have it straight from Kyle Poole. Now, one thing about Shadow Era's past, Kyle, that I've always found interesting and I'm curious about, it was launched with an incomplete first set, which is a very, very unusual thing for a TCG to do. What's the reasoning or the story behind that? Why did the game launch with only, what was it, like 120 out of 200 cards or something like that?
Right, that's a good question. It was designed from the beginning to be a freemium game, and once it got to the point that the basic gameplay was determined to be fun, there's enough cards, you can play some fun games. I just wanted to release it out there to get it out to a wider audience. With freemium games, you normally want to release early and release often. What you're trying to do is, once you have a game that you determine to be fun and is enjoyable, you really want to release it to a wider audience to start to get player feedback and let that feedback drive the development of the game. What's also important is that you start getting income to fund the further development. That's really important for an independent studio to get a title out there, be the first full-scale trading card game out for the iPhone platform. That helped us enormously, and it's been really great ever since.
Was Shadow Era your first game you launched on mobile devices?
I was working at another company called Punch Entertainment. We did a bunch of titles. I was the lead developer on the Reign of Swords game. It's a turn-based strategy type of game that was pretty popular on iPhone.
Oh yeah, okay. Because I also heard something about Battle of Westnotch or something like
Yes.
that. Weren't you involved in that as well?
Yes, I was. After I left my last company, I was in Vietnam, sort of just hanging out. I took on the Battle for Westnotch project. It's an open source game for Linux and PC. So I asked them, "Hey, can I port it to iPhone and share the profits with you?" And they were sure. So I spent about 6 months working on that to port it to iPhone. It's been really great for the Westnotch project. They've got a lot of income from that. Recently, of course, I've not been updating it, but so the source is out there for anyone that wants to tinker around with it.
To wrap up the section on Shadow Era's past, what is everybody's favorite memory from the past of Shadow Era?
Ooh, that's a big question.
Yeah, it is.
What do you mean with past? Because I remember a world championship that's a quite fond memory.
I suppose that's true. Well, you can count that. I guess winning the world championships is a pretty big deal, and it was.
Well, but if I really have to think about the past, I really enjoyed playing with my past Guan deck. But we've already discussed the deck a lot. But I really enjoyed that deck, so that's
the
my
1.27 1,000th post Gwen deck.
Yeah, that deck.
Well, I was really thrilled about also my deck that we have discussed about Zaladar, but if I have to choose the one moment that it was most thrilling from the others, I'm probably sure when I don't say it for an advertisement or something, but it was the time when I was accepted in A1 Alliance.
Oh yeah.
I was kind of expecting the approval, and when it came, it was very nice.
Yeah, I can second that actually. I think that probably my favorite memory from Shadow Era Past was getting accepted into my guild. Once I got into the guild and seeing what was going on behind the scenes, that was a lot of fun.
The same for me too. When I got accepted to A1 on April 1st, and then got kicked out on April 2nd.
That's true. That was quite a lot of fun. pretty terrible A1 member, though. We had to kick you out really fast.
That's right.
And it doesn't look like you've been picked up by any guilds since then, so I guess, your reputation is now out there in the community.
Right.
So yeah, for anyone
yeah.
who's looking for a new member, we have a very willing member here on the show.
Kyle is still looking for a guild, guys. All right, so let's move from the past into the present here. What do you feel is the biggest difference between Shadow Era, when anybody started, or way back when Shadow Era itself was just getting started, and now?
There's a lot more variety in the community. So we're on a lot more platforms now. We have web, Android, iPhone, and now physical as well. And you also have differences in player background. Like a lot of people never played a TCG versus like world champions of a different TCG. So you have a huge variety in the community now. That's really interesting. There's a very, very very unique dynamic, I think, in our community.
Did all platforms get released at the same time when the game got released?
No, there was a pretty long rollout period. Android was at least 4 months, I think, after iPhone or something like that.
Oh yeah, okay. Because when I picked up the game, I think it was already on most devices. I think it was 1.24 or something like that.
Yeah, the same for me. When I picked it up, I think it was version 1.24, and it was definitely already on everything by the time that's actually how I came across it, was because there was a gaming blog that talked about this really awesome multi-platform game. Yeah, I think I'd have to agree, though, the community is probably the biggest difference between when Shadow Era started and now. It seems like the community has just gotten so huge, and there's so many different kinds of people. One thing that actually has always intrigued me is the number of people that play Shadow Era that have never played a TCG before, because I would have thought that, that people who played TCGs in the past would be the primary people who were like, oh hey, here's this really cool card game that's on my phone or on my computer, like, this is awesome. But it seems like there's more people who've never played a TCG before in the community than people who have at times, and I find that to be really cool and sometimes puzzling.
I would like to add on that I think that's a lot because of the fact that now on the iPhone and on the PC and on the Android, it's very accessible. And for example, I played some trading card games in real life in the past, but I stopped playing that just because it wasn't possible to play it anymore because I didn't have any friends playing it anymore. And now with it being online and all, it's very easy to just start the game and start the game and start playing versus someone else, and you don't have to wait for anyone, and it's very easy this way. So I also think that's a main reason for people to try trading card games right now, because it's such an accessible game, and it's free, of course.
Yeah, I agree. I was one of the players that haven't played the TCG before. I mean, it took me about 2 months to understand that you could play with other players and not against a computer.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. So yes, I was just scrolling around with anything that can be downloaded from my iPhone, and I happened to find Shadow Era, and it was pretty cool. I liked it from the very first moment.
Yeah, the game passed the sister test. My sister downloaded it, and she knows nothing about trading card games, anything like that. And I was actually surprised. She was actually starting to understand the game. She was talking to me about strategies. She was able to beat the AI. So it's pretty good statement to how accessible the game is for new players.
The sister test, that's a cool name.
I like it. Do you still pass all the new features and stuff through your sister to try to make sure that the game continues to pass the sister test?
I don't, but I should start doing that. But I'm sure she'll want to be on the payroll then.
That's true. So, Kyle, back when the game was still new, did you imagine the community would become sort of as vibrant and active and large as it is today?
Actually, that was one of the primary goals. I do have experience running community-driven games. Back about something like 15 years ago, I did a very popular title for the Palm Pilot called Kyle's Quest. It was a role-playing game.
Awesome.
Role-playing game on the Palm at the time when there was like really no other games out there, and it was we had a huge community. So I know the value of what a community can do to a project. You know, just listen to your community. What do they want? What do they find fun or not? And it's really a great way to drive development for a game.
Yeah, I have to agree. In fact, I think that's one of the, like I said earlier, I think that's one of the biggest strengths of Shadow Era is the fact that, you know, you guys listen to the community and that the game actually does adapt to what the people want and how players want to be playing the game.
Yeah, I agree. It's like the 40 card minimum. That's a good example.
Yep. So, is it how big of a relief is it for you, Kyle, that the physical cards are now like worked on and they're printed and being shipped out, and that, you know, trying to get that all taken care of is now kind of like, you know.
Yeah, it was a huge project. I had no idea going into it how difficult it actually is to produce a physical trading card game. Everything from packaging design to, you know, buying barcodes and stuff like that. It was just crazy, and you know, it's pretty much. I remember going to Origins Game Fair. I wasn't even sure if the product would be shipped there on time.
Oh, that would have been scary.
Things just worked out. We had a lot of delays along the way, but people are getting their cards now. They're really impressed with the quality, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, but it was just a huge task, and it's not even over yet. It's still lingering, but it is a great relief to, you know, see that finally wrapping up.
And right now, do you still have to invest a lot of time in the physical cards, or is it is it wrapping up right now?
No, it's not a lot of time. It's just time spent waiting.
Oh yeah. Do you in the future do you plan to release the next sets on physical cards as well?
Yeah, we've had a lot of great comments about the physical cards and about Shadowware, so everyone knows that, you know, it's a really quality product. So we do have plans to also release the expansion in printed form, of course. We will be going digital first, iron out any, you know, lingering balance issues before the expansion is printed and locked down.
Awesome.
That's actually really cool to know, because most TCGs actually take the opposite approach, which I've always found really obnoxious, where they release the printed version of the game, and then only at that point, once the printed version is out there in stores, do they even start with any kind of like beta tests or whatever for the set online. And so if you're someone who's playing the game strictly online, you're literally playing the game like 3 or 4 months behind the rest of the world who's playing it on tabletop. So I like the idea of being able to get a hold of the game in a form where it can still be, you know, tweaked a little bit before being set in stone with print.
Well,
Right.
I think that having the game out on physical cards first is more like a business decision than anything else, because I think it's possible to get more money out of physical cards than you can get out of digital cards. Maybe that's just my perception, but that's at least what I believe.
I don't know. I would tend to think the costs got to be so much higher for physical cards.
That as well, but there is a reason why they sell these boosters for a lot of money.
What's your take on that, Kyle? Are physical cards more profitable than digital ones?
I think it's the ease of creation. Printing some cards is very easy, but implementing them with all the rules is very difficult online.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's a good insight.
Because once you got a rule book, you don't really have that much special occasions anymore, I guess, with cards. So you can just print them and they work. Yeah, because they don't really have to be coded right. Yeah, it's a good input. Yeah.
Were you surprised, Kyle, by how big the physical game was? Because I know that, like, you know, when you set up the crowdfunding page or whatever, your original goal was like, what was it, $20,000, $30,000?
$20,000, yes.
Yeah, and it way exceeded that. I forget, what did the goal? It got up to 400,000 or so.
No, 240, I think.
240? Whatever.
Yeah.
It's way, way, way beyond the initial goal. Were you kind of like surprised by how popular the physical product was?
Yes, I was very surprised. A lot of that was due to the growing bonuses, which kind of bit us in the behind in the end. Now we have to ship out so many physical bonuses to all the people. But it was great in terms of the community. The community helped to fund the entire project. So for an indie game studio, it was really great thing to see all the support from the community, and it allowed us to make a really high quality product that can compete with any major TCG out there. So I'm really happy with that.
If you ever were to do something like this again, what would is there anything you would do different than you did it now?
Well, we won't be doing it again. So the next printed card, we won't need to do pre-orders. But if knowing what I did now and go back in time, I would probably only have digital bonuses. The physical, the physical
Yeah.
world is much more complicated.
And it's also so that for digital bonuses, you usually only have to code something once, and then you can implement it for everyone who bought cards, and that's not the case for physical bonuses.
Another cool thing that's happened recently with Shadow Era is you've gotten to go out to conventions and Otto's cell phone. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I have to pick this. Sorry.
Okay. One thing that's very cool is that you've been able to go out to all these conventions and like Origins. And are you guys going to Gen Con this year?
Yeah, we'll be at Gen Con. We have a lot of events planned there, so it'll be really great.
Sweet. So that's really an awesome thing to get out there at those conventions and kind of mingle with the community. What's been your favorite part of doing that?
Having the whole design team in the same room at the same time. As you may know, the design team is a source from the community, so they're from all over the U.S. and Canada and Europe. So we haven't had a chance yet to meet all together. So at Origins, it was really the first time that we could all sit down, play games together, discuss strategies, stuff like that. So it's really, really great to have the team all together at once.
Will on every convention there be a full team there, or just a part of the team?
Yeah, for Gen Con, we were missing our two members from Europe. Sorry, for Origins. But for Gen Con, everyone is planning to attend. So we'll have a really great showing for Shadow Era there.
When exactly is Gen Con again?
Gen Con is August 16th to 19th.
I'll definitely look that up.
So that's very exciting. I'm also hoping to get out there for Gen Con. I missed Origins and it made me sad reading on the forums about all the really cool stuff that was happening, and then we had Soothslayer on the show during Origins and he was talking about all the really cool stuff that was happening, and I was like, oh, I want to be there. Okay, so what would you guys say is your favorite thing about Shadow Era today?
I would say it's the physical cards. They look amazing. As I mentioned before, I'm more of a TCG collector rather than a player. So I have all my complete set in a binder. I flip through them every day just to look at them. It's really great.
I do remember you tearing up a card that really broke my heart, by the way. Yeah, but it was a good example.
Yeah, I also was like, no, don't do it, and then you did it, and I was like, no, because I'm very protective of my TCG cards. I always play them in sleeves and all this stuff, and so to watch you bend and fold and tear cards apart, I was like, no.
It made you cringe, but
It did. It really did.
Well, but maybe it'll be less if you actually get your cards as well.
Yeah.
That's true. I can protect my cards even if Kyle abuses his.
Yeah.
Otto, are you
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about Shadow Era right now?
I will have to agree with Kyle on this. My favorite thing about Shadow Era is that you can at last play so many heroes. I mean, for the last 2 months, I've been playing practically, not every hero, but so many of them. I've played heroes that I have never even tried before, because they are playable and they let you keep the fun without knowing that you are going to lose and just trying to play for the fun.
Yeah, I think I agree. I played at least 15 heroes in 1.5 already.
So which 5 have you not played?
I think it's Jericho, Baduru, the 2 Shadow Warriors. No, I did play Logan.
And I have played Jericho, and it gave me a pass for the next round in the I think in a crown tourney. Yes.
Nice.
Mm.
I had Dark Law as well. I really have to think about this because I don't really know anymore.
You're like, I've played so many, I don't know who I've left out.
Oh yeah, Nish Haven as well. I think I'm almost at 5 right now, I guess. And Elementalist, it'll be something like that.
Mm.
Oh yeah, but anyway, I played most of the heroes right now, and most of them are really playable. At the highest level, not all of them, but at least you can always put up a good fight, even versus the best heroes.
Yeah. I would have to agree. I think that the balance and variety of Shadow Arrow is my favorite thing about it right now. I like that I can just take any deck and it'll be at least, fairly competitive. Even heroes where I think the only time where that has not been proven true at the highest levels is I was having an argument with Witsky about whether or not Logan could be viable at the highest levels of play, and he challenged me to make a Logan deck that could win consistently, and I wasn't yet able to do it. Although Otto had a much better deck than I did, and started to be able to prove that. But
I did get a 3rd place in a pop-up tournament with the Logan once. I think, but it was just in the early days of.
in 1.5.
Yeah, but I think it was on test server or when it just got released.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember the iClives trying this deck. It was a good deck. That was
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay.
That was
now,
that when
now it's a bit outclassed, but
yeah.
it was okay.
Okay, so I'm just going on record. Hey, Witsky, if you're listening to this, see, iClips won 3rd place in a tournament with it. It's not that bad.
Yeah, but there were actually 3 players in that tournament.
No. No, I think it was 8 or something like that. So not really a lot.
But still, I mean, that's cool because there's even, we have a hero doing decently well in some tournaments that, some top players are saying this hero's totally worthless. So that's definitely my favorite thing about Shadow Arrow right now.
Logan especially is a hero that can get a lot better just by adding the right cards to the card pool.
Yeah, we have a discussion in A1 Alliance. Since Kyle is here, we could just say it. we always thought that giving warriors a weapon that doesn't wear out, like What Big Teeth, but cannot be buffed, so Amber cannot overdo it with this weapon, or maybe Boris, who just wants to keep up punching for a long time, would be great to have Logan alive. You just play it; it is cheap, and you can buff it to kill an ally whenever you want. So him being weak will not be the fact anymore.
I do really think you have to make that suggestion to the design team as well, because Kyle is not really making the cards right now.
Okay, I just thought of saying it. He's here. It's like having a God in front of you and say, "Okay, I would like a Ferrari if it's possible."
I mean, so I just want to, be clear, Otto. So you're saying that if God just came down from the heavens and was standing in front of you, you'd be like, "Hey, dude, I'd really like a Ferrari."
Oh,
that would be your response.
Okay, yeah.
If I have to think about it, no, I would ask for something bigger, but a Ferrari would be good. Okay.
So, on that note, let's we're kind of getting into this anyway. So the future of Shadow Era, talking about cards that we'd like to see in the future and whatever. Kyle, what's the next big step for Shadow Era, the next stage of evolution or whatever for the game?
So the first step is obviously the expansion. It's been going on in the design team for some time. They've already came up with a lot of interesting cards for that. So we're really pushing hard to get that out to our players as soon as we can. Right now, a big complaint about Shadow Era is that the card pool is still fairly small. There's only 200 cards. But once the expansion comes out, you'll get another 150 cards, and it'll be like a whole new game. So we're really pushing for that. Besides that, the other big step would be the single-player campaign. We're also working on individual storylines for each hero. So when you choose your hero, you'll be able to play through a campaign telling the background story from the perspective of that hero. We have a really good writer on the team now that's been coming up with really great lore and stories and things like that. So we're really hoping to flesh out that experience as well with the single-player mode.
Yeah, that'll be cool actually, because I know that's one thing that you see on the forums a lot is people talking about, isn't there a more extensive single player mode? Isn't there anything to do other than just repetitively beat the AI over and over and over again? So that'll be really cool to see actually.
Yeah, it will.
Is it also something that's on the roadmap to increase a bit the AI difficulty, or is that something that will be implemented along with the single player campaign? So, for example, that you have a challenge or something like that.
I think it will be very difficult. When the next set hits the ground, it will be very difficult to adjust the AI. But I'm not a programmer, so I don't know for a fact.
Yeah, but it was just a question. If it's no, then it's no. I don't really mind. It was just.
It is on the to-do list to improve the AI, of course. When we switch to the new storyline mode, each campaign challenge will be sort of different. There'll be different victory conditions, even different campaign cards that you might not have seen before. So the AI will play very differently from a normal player anyways. Each challenge that you do will be sort of a unique experience.
Nice to hear.
Yeah, that's actually very good to hear, because that's one thing that I definitely think, as far as single player goes, could use some improvement. I've seen the AI do all kinds of amazing things, like cast Supernova when it only has 4 health and I have 20 health, and all these kinds of really
real
great
players
things.
do that too.
Yeah, so I mean, you're right though. The AI does employ some very unique strategies that real players would never do, like killing itself. But hopefully we can maybe evolve the AI a little bit in future versions.
It just came to me that it would be very cool if in the story mode, if the AI could use some cards of a next expansion, cards that players couldn't use yet. A single card for every hero, or 2 cards for every hero.
Well, but he said that there will be special cards only for single player, so that you will be facing a hero, but that hero is playing cards but that you've never seen before.
Then we can edit my comment, okay?
Yeah, that's actually one thing that I find interesting. Whose idea, or how did you guys come up with the idea for campaign-only cards, and what's special about them that makes them suitable just for single-player campaign?
We really wanted to encourage people to play through the campaigns just so that they get a lot of lore background, stuff like that. So to make the campaigns feel unique, we needed to add something special. As people know, playing against the AI is a little bit boring, not really challenging. But once you let the AI have a deck that the player normally couldn't have, like for example, maybe they have special allies or really powerful cards, suddenly it's like a whole new game. And each time you play, you might come into a different situation that you have no idea what to do. So it really creates, the desire to play the single-player campaign, see what's there, see what's different, and that was our main goal.
So, how does everybody think that the physical cards are going to do in stores? What they should be getting there pretty soon. Do you guys think this is really going to take off?
I think it's a really good product visually. So people will see different people playing the games in the store. They'll say, "Wow, that card looks great," or "The art is great," and they'll be drawn into that. A lot of games out there, have really crappy art. I hate to say,
it's so
but
true.
I really do think this game can compete with the top TCGs out there like Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! It has the potential to be right up there with them in terms of popularity, just because it's so easy to get into, and it's a really high quality product. So it sort of bridges the gap between really simple child games like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And between more sophisticated, complicated games like Magic. So Shadow Heir is sitting right there in a nice spot I've heard from a lot of people also that they're looking for a new game to support. Magic's been around for a million years already. It's getting a little bit old and also expensive. So people are really looking for something new to try. So I think it does have a huge potential there to be successful.
I've also seen that art in general is very important to you, because I remember an old Priest of the Light art, and then it just got changed, and I remember other cards getting other artwork as well.
Right.
So I do think that was a really good decision, by the way.
Yeah, that old Priest of the Light art was pretty terrible. I actually remember because art is also kind of a big deal for me in a TCG. I will sometimes include cards in my decks or build strategies around them, specifically to make use of the art, because I'm like that. And I remember seeing Priest of the Light for the first time, and I was like, man, that card looks really powerful, but I don't know if I want to use it, because that art is pretty crappy.
Yeah.
Well, but on the other hand, now it's the other way around. The new art of Priest of the Light is really awesome.
It is. That was the big thing. I remember when the new art was revealed, I was like, oh my god, now, like, even if it wasn't good, I'd want to be using it.
Yeah. I remember seeing somewhere a foil edition of Priest of the Light, and it was awesome.
I haven't gotten to see that yet. And everyone talks about how beautiful it is and
Yeah,
how amazing it is.
There are at least a few pictures on the forum.
I guess I'm paying enough attention. If anyone wants to post in the discussion thread for this episode a picture of a foil Priest of the Light, please feel free to make my life easier.
Okay.
That would be awesome. So while we're talking about the future of Shadow Era, Kyle, I think that, the community will lynch me if I don't at least ask. Do you have any spoilers or new information about the upcoming expansion?
Well, the expansion is really going to focus on allies. We have a lot of new human and shadow allies, but the classes will also get some allies. So you'll see scattered in the warrior abilities, there'll be a few allies there. Rogues will have allies, stuff like that. So each class will have allies. The game obviously is all about allies and heroes firstly, and then abilities secondly. So we really do add a lot of new allies for the set. Also weapons and armor, of course. That's about all I can give away right now.
Understandable. That's still very interesting. I like the fact that there will be a lot more class allies, because I think those guys are very interesting. We have like Nightshade right now with rogues.
Yeah, they also make for a lot of really different decks. I mean, so your deck doesn't use the same heroes than another deck of the same faction. For example, the Nightshade is really a nice example. It's almost a staple in every rogue deck, but it's only in rogue decks, so it's not really annoying.
I did happen to play against a rogue deck which used 4 Chris and Aldons with no Nightshades, but I guess it's irrelevant anyway.
Okay. And that's the thing, is that you don't have to use Nightshade in every rogue deck, but you can really get a lot of
value out
of it. Yeah, if you build your deck right.
It's also because it combos nicely with assassination. But if in that deck that Otto mentioned there is no assassination, or maybe it's with Chris, then Nightshades are really valuable.
Right. Well, that's exactly the cool thing about Nightshade, is that because he goes well with assassination and things like that, he's really, really good in a rogue deck. But even if you were to take that ally and put him in a different deck that wasn't a rogue deck, he wouldn't be nearly as good, because there wouldn't be those cards like assassination for him to make use of. So I'm actually very excited to hear that there's going to be more guys like him coming in the next expansion.
Yeah. I've already seen them, but I can't really say anything about it.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm actually, I guess I'm the odd duck out, because you guys are both in the PFG and Kyle is making the game. So I'm the only one who doesn't know what's coming.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I feel left out. On the Shadow Era forums, Gondorian.com sort of made a thread, what features do you guys want to see? Here's what we're thinking about including in the game whenever we can fit these features in. What other stuff would you guys like to see? That thread has exploded with ideas and suggestions and comments, and I don't know how many features people have requested or said that they really want at this point, but it's some insane number. How do you prioritize, what features are coming next and what to work on first?
There's a bunch of different criteria. The first being, does it provide quality to the game? So, is the feature really going to improve the gameplay experience? The next is, how long will it take to implement? Some features we can do very quickly, others might take months and months, so it might not be that valuable for us. And the third is, of course, is it going to make us money? Will adding this feature increase our profits? So with those three things, we have to decide what we will do first, and it's normally a balance between all those three things.
And when do you define something ready? Because I remember a long time ago playing on the test server, and there was a message system in there, and you had to pay 10 gold to send a message. What's the reason why it is not implemented yet, or isn't it going to be implemented or so? It's not that I mind. I'm just asking how, as a programmer team, you decide what to have and what not.
Yeah, in that case, it was the quality. So we were holding, the message system is done already, but we were holding it for a more involved friend list, perhaps even guild memberships, so that you really have a reason to send messages, and also some more design work so that it's presented better. So there's a lot of features like that are sitting at 90%, but the last 10% takes the longest to do. Another good example is the auction house. It's already been coded, it works, but it still needs a bit better presentation. But for those things now, we're putting dedicated teams on those to finish those up. So you will be seeing those soon.
Do you have actual teams that work only on design, or is it just programmers that work that have no really designated tasks, or how does development of Shadow Era go?
So we have the card design teamers for the design team, but as for game features, that's mostly left up to myself. I design how it should be implemented, how it should work, and then the development team goes and codes it, and then I review.
I think many players out there would like to know some dates, even not approximately. For I didn't say what date. It could be for the cards. It could be for the next expansion. It could be for many things.
Or maybe Kyle's anniversary.
Yes, of course.
That would be a date that players could know.
Wasn't it recently? It was like 2 weeks ago.
I had a birthday 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, so that's a date. That's a cool date.
That's a cool date. We are working hard to bring things as fast as we can, but as you know, in software development and in TCG production, there are often delays. So we're very reluctant to give out specific dates.
Yeah, I remember Blizzard, who does the same thing with never telling dates, and in the end, they're actually the biggest corporation out there. So I really think that's actually a good way to go, to just go with when it's ready, and then you release a very high level product. So yeah, I kind of agree with having no dates actually. So
yeah.
If you have a deadline, then it can always be that something isn't really on the highest level that it can or could be.
Yeah, I agree. I like the "it'll be done when it's done" way of going about things. It may annoy some people, but I would much rather have a high quality product, than for it to be released just to fit a certain date. So
well, I think that people that are mostly annoyed with it are people that aren't really that active on the forums, and they're playing a lot of games, but they don't really follow the forums, so they don't really know what's coming. And then they see, hey, it's been like 3 months that we got another update, so where is the update? But they don't really know what's coming. So yeah, I think it's mostly those people that are complaining about it. But in general, I think the community is very understanding with how things are going, and I like it. I like a lot about how things are going right now.
What do you guys hope will be your favorite thing about Shadow Era a year from now?
For me, I think it'll be just playing online tournaments. It was already on the roadmap. I think it was posted on the blog spot by the design team this week. And yeah, I really look forward to that. So you can just go online and play. If you go like, hey, I got 2 hours free time, then you just play a tournament, and then you maybe pay some entry and then win if you're first or second or something like that. I don't know, but I really look forward to that. To just play with other people in tournaments, really easy. Especially because of the fact that then you can play a tournament whenever you like. Now it's mostly like there's a scheduled tournament, but it's just not fitting in my schedule, and that's why I can't play. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to that feature a lot.
What about you, Otto? What do you hope will be the greatest thing about Shadow Era a year from now?
In a year from now, that is a tough question. We all expect the expansion to come, and I think we are just testing our fingers, just to let them melt when the expansion comes. And I think that in 1 year time from now, we will all be pretty sure of the exact future of the game. And right now it's a very promising game, and people like it, and it has so many good features that promise that it will be very successful. And in 1 year's time, after the first expansion, and probably when the next one is on the road to come, or even it will be there, we will all know the exact balance that has come, and we'll be quite proud. I would be proud if I had been part of PFG 1 and 2 and been there from 1.24.
What about you, Kyle? What do you hope will be your favorite thing about Shadow Era a year from now?
A year from now, I think it'd be great because I'd be able to relax in my yacht while the development team does all the
work.
Yeah.
And I hope that, we'll be able to do an exclusive State of the Era episode from Kyle's yacht a year from now. That'll be cool, since I'm sure he'll invite us.
I agree.
Will there be bikini girls and so as well?
Jasmine will be there.
Oh, okay. That's great.
This sounds like the party of the year, man. All right. Well, guys, that looks like it's about all the time that we have for right now. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I want to really thank Kyle for taking time out of his day to come hang out with us and talk about the game. Thanks a lot, Kyle.
Oh, no problem.
So for everyone listening to this, let's move it on over to the discussion thread. What's your guys' favorite thing about Shadow Era, past, present, or future? Especially with a lot of older players in the forums, I'd like to get some perspectives on, like how the game has evolved or what you've enjoyed seeing change. Let's, kick the nostalgia level up. I guess that's all we've got for this week. Until next time, this is the A1 Alliance signing out.